What's up everybody, Nate here from Out of the Basement, bringing you a brand new action figure review. Today from Star Wars The Black Series, we are taking a look at the BAZE MALBUS photoreal re-release. This is the updated version of the original figure, now in the Galaxy packaging. We've got the nice teal Rogue One logo. Love that teal. And of course, you can see in the window of the figure, the photoreal version of BAZE. We're actually going to be doing a comparison between this one and the original figure so we can see everything that's different between the two. But before we get into that, let's take a quick look at the package here. This is the Galaxy packaging. It says BAZE MALBUS at the bottom. We have the nice mural art right here that looks very good. On the back of the package, here's a bio. You can pause it and read it now if you'd like. BAZE is number 5 in the Rogue One line. We also have a larger image of the mural art right here. Barcode on the bottom. Logo on the side. Nothing else on the top here. So we're going to go ahead and get this figure open. We'll take a look at the accessories and then the figure itself. Since they come in the package separately, we'll take a look at the blaster here first. Technically, I would say BAZE only comes with one accessory, but it is split into two. So this is the blaster portion of the accessory here. It's got some really nice sculpt work to it. A little bit of paint there, some nice gunmetal gray and a little splash of red. Pretty much all you are getting on this, but it is cast in a gray plastic. And it is the same on the other side here, but still nice sculpt work here, and the little bit of paint is appreciated, especially since these days we don't get any paint on our Black Series weapons anymore. So, the good old days. And as far as a side-by-side blaster comparison goes, we have the old one on top and the new one on the bottom. They are virtually the same, just slight variations in the paint apps, and really it's only with how shiny it is, which this is probably just dulled due to age, I'd imagine. So pretty much identical here. And then we also have the larger piece of his heavy repeating blaster. We've got the part that connects to the blaster here that runs up into this backpack piece, which does have some really nice paint details on it. We've got red plastic with silver paint and even a little bit of bronze right there. Looking very nice, and the silver paint is nice and shiny. You can see the peg here as well. It just pops right into the back of the figure. And then it comes down here into a soft plastic sort of cape piece here, which it goes without saying, would prefer this to be soft goods. I mean, they gave Church soft goods, so BAZE could have got some soft goods too here. But it still looks great. Really nice paint details on it. And side by side with the original here, you can tell that they actually look almost exactly the same. Again, the newer one just looks newer because it is. It was freshly produced, and this one has been sitting on a shelf for quite some time, so it's lost a little bit of that sheen, but it still is there. And just like the blaster though, the paint app details are exactly the same. And here it is all connected without it being on BAZE's back. You can see it just plugs right into the bottom of the rifle, no problems there. Honestly, I thought the paint apps might have been a little bit different, but I am shocked. They are pretty much identical to the original figure, which I guess just goes to show you how nicely detailed the original release was. And so now we're going to peg this onto the back of BAZE, put him on the rotating stand, and take a look. Let's jump into the figure. Alright, and here is BAZE out of the packaging with all of the flaws of the original figure still present on this one. What a nightmare it was to get this figure to stand up and stay standing on the rotating base here. However, I will say the photoreal update and some other details of the costume that have changed on this re-release are actually very nice, and I'm really excited to have this updated version here. As I was saying though, the problems the original figure had are definitely present on this, so if you have that figure, you know what you're getting into here. And with that in mind though, let's go ahead and get the figure off the stand and we'll take a look at the details. And here's BAZE up close and personal. You can see that photoreal update is just absolutely fantastic. Really excellent likeness to the actor. It just goes to show you that the sculpt was always there. It just needed some better paint application. So really, this head sculpt just looks so fantastic. It is a little bit shiny, but it's really not too bad. The hair is also on point, very nicely sculpted. There's even some paint app details there on the braids. And the back of the hair sculpt here is really nice as well, although they did not paint this little braid piece back here. And the details on the figure here are just awesome. The entire figure has a nice black wash over it, the underneath costume here. It just looks absolutely amazing. I'm so happy that they still did that with this version of the figure. And it just makes me wonder why we can't get washes on new figures. Well, I guess they did put a wash on a few new figures, but you know what I mean. Anyways, it's present on the undersuit, not on the armor, of course, though, to make it look nice and clean. And of course, I guess I should have mentioned this, we do get the shoulder pad on this figure. The promo images, for whatever reason, they took them and the figure did not have the shoulder pad on it. So I think everyone was expecting the shoulder pad to not come with the figure, but it does. So thankfully it does. But yeah, just take a look at these awesome details. Great sculpt work on the costume itself, the wrinkles, the patches, the pockets, all the stitching work there just looks absolutely fantastic. And there's nice pouches here, great costume details, looks very accurate to the movie as far as memory serves here. And the wash even goes to the back of the figure, which is really nice. However, owners of the original figure know that while this detail is really awesome, it definitely restricts the articulation of the figure quite a bit. And there's even some weird articulation choices specifically down at the feet here that we'll go over when we get there that are just baffling and probably should have been fixed with this re-release. Even though they don't ever fix issues, some of these are just absolutely bizarre. But before we get into all of that, let's go ahead and take a side-by-side look here at the original BAZE MALBUS with this new version. Alright, and here we are side by side, and just look at the difference photoreal could make between these two figures here. Same sculpt 100% throughout the figure, now just with a photoreal update and actually a more accurate costume coloring. You can see on this original figure here, it's more of like a gray costume, and right here, this underneath piece you could see is more along the lines of the new costume color, but yeah, much more accurate on this new figure here. And I really like that they actually took the time and updated the coloring of the costume to make it more movie accurate. Even though the old figure, I didn't really notice that it was inaccurate, but once I saw the two side by side and looked at some screenshots from the movie, I was like, oh yeah, there's definitely a big difference here between these two figures. And I guess you could also see the little V shape there on the armor is printed on differently. Mine actually looks like it might be a little misprinted. I'm not sure there, but you can see it's slightly printed on there differently. But other than that, same exact figure, but I definitely think this is a worthy upgrade detail-wise. The face just looks so much better, and the more accurately colored costume really just adds to that. And it really feels like a nice, solid Black Series figure, getting as close as they can to a movie-accurate look here for BAZE. So they really knocked this one out of the park with the updated details. However, where this figure definitely suffers is the articulation. So let's go ahead and just jump into that. Okay, so let's start out with the head here, and yep, you guessed it, the hair sculpt definitely gets in the way. So that's what you get going up, and this is what you get going down. The rotation is still present. Of course, they can exorcist there, no problem. Do get a little bit of side to side as well there. I think, at least as far as the head goes, for the most part, the articulation that is hindered is due to the costume accuracy, so I almost don't want to fault the figure for that, but there is definitely a big flaw that is just the result of poor sculpt work. The arms can go all the way up, and the shoulder pad there tucks into the torso, so it doesn't hinder the articulation at all. We do also get rotation here as well. Single jointed elbows that give you just 90 degrees, and they do swivel. We also have a trigger finger here that rotates around, and we do have the vertical hinge, and as expected, the grip hand rotates around and does have the horizontal hinge. As far as the ab crunch goes, you get nothing forward. These big ammo pouches here, or whatever they may be, I don't know if they're actually ammo pouches, but they're a softer plastic, but they're still not soft enough, and really honestly just doesn't feel like they sculpted the figure to have ab crunch at all, because that's literally what you get forward and back. It's pretty much nothing. There is rotation though, and just a small amount of side to side, really not much at all. I would almost say that's non-existent. And for the legs here, as far as kicking out, that's about what you get forward there. I wouldn't even say the ammo pouch is actually blocking the leg. This just feels like as far as the articulation wants to go. It's pretty limited in that in the hips there. Splits wise, this is all we get. So yeah, just really not great hip articulation. Kicking back is pretty decent though, not bad. Thigh swivel is present. And even though the hip articulation is not great, we do get doubled knees and they work okay. Now this is the major flaw of the figure, which if you own the original figure, you know what I'm talking about here, and it is the feet. The foot sculpt here is just abysmal. I think it's really goes down to when you put the feet all the way down, you can see how it's sculpted, and it kind of has a bulge that comes out right here. So the feet don't really go that far forward, but it kind of gives it like a weird angle, so the figure doesn't really want to stand all that well. Kind of have to lean him forward a little bit to get him to stand up. And then once you add the weight of the backpack here, yeah, it's definitely a challenge to get him to stand. And pretty much any dynamic posing is non-existent. He can at least hold the blaster with both hands, but it definitely is a little bit of a challenge to get him into like a natural aiming, shooting kind of pose here, two-handed. The way the armor is designed for the character, it just really doesn't work, especially when you have hard plastic hair here. So the neck is severely hindered and you can't really get him in a natural, just looking forward state. I mean, this isn't horrible, but you know, it just kind of looks a little unnatural, but there's really not anything that could be done. The design of the character really doesn't lend itself to an articulated action figure. So now let's go ahead and do some comparisons here. I don't have too many Rogue One figures, but the Rogue One figure collection is slowly growing these days. So let's go ahead and do some obvious comparisons here. We've got the only other two members of the Rogue One crew that I own. We have the photoreal update of Chirrut, which is an awesome figure, and the brand new head-to-toe Bodhi Rook, another awesome looking figure. Then we have the original Director Krennic. Please, Hasbro, please give us the photoreal update. We need it. And the Jedha Patrol Stormtrooper minus the backpack, just with the pauldron on. And just because, let's do the archive photoreal Princess Leia. And one last time, the original BAZE MALBUS, which will now be binned until the end of time. Moving on to the Bandai model kits, we have the Mandalorian and the Shadow Stormtrooper. And last but certainly not least, we have the SH Figuarts Tank Pilot and the Mafex First Order Stormtrooper. So in conclusion here, BAZE is a great looking figure, and that's about it. The articulation is not very good on the figure. The character design hinders the articulation. The hair hinders the articulation. And then we have the terrible, terrible feet that make this figure almost impossible to stand up. So it's really a mixed bag. If you're great. If you're looking to have BAZE MALBUS on the shelf, this is the best option for you. Really the only option. Yes, there's an Elite Series figure, but let's face facts here. The Elite Series does not look as good as this figure. So if you need a BAZE on your shelf, definitely pick this figure up. However, if you're not really all that interested, then yeah, I could see this being an easy pass as well. If you like the original figure, definitely worth the upgrade though, in my opinion as well. The more accurately colored costume and the photoreal face here just looks fantastic. But yeah, that articulation is just holding this figure back. So there you go. That was my review for BAZE here. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Are you going to pick BAZE up or are you passing on him? Let's chat in the comments below. If you enjoyed my review, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you are new. We're always talking about Star Wars The Black Series here on the channel. We do also have a channel membership for 99 cents a month. You can directly support the channel. You also get some custom emojis and a Clone Trooper name badge that changes based on how long you've been a member of the channel. There's a link in the description, or there's also a join button right next to the subscribe button. If you can't support us in that way, no problem though. Simply watching, liking, subscribing, sharing with your friends, all that is good enough for us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Special thank you though to our channel members. Your continued support is amazing. And thank you to everyone else who's watched the review. Appreciate all of you as well. I'm Nate from Out of the Basement. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.